Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel Mangena. And welcome everybody, man. I am so excited to be with you here. Another amazing opportunity to rock it out with Source and having another amazing guest here with you here on Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. And this guest is just dynamite. He is filled with such amazing, magical, magnetizing energy. He gets it. He's connected to it, if you know what I mean. And he's in that flojo kind of, mode is how I see it. And he is able to translate that to you vibrationally, in my opinion, just by you being here, number one. Number two, by taking notes of the incredible wisdom that he has to share around, being in this money game of life and being an entrepreneur. And he's a very impressive person. And I just can't wait for him to share. He's got such a fun, joyful approach to it all. And you're just absolutely going to love it. So make sure you're tuning in here.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation today.
All right. Well, oh my God, Dan, this has been years in the making. It feels like
it's been, I would say, millennia in the making. I'm sure based on the camaraderie, we've probably kicked it up. We're probably like diving off the boardwalks of Atlantis a few thousand years ago. I'm sure of it.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Let's think bigger, right? So let's get into the deeper thing here.
Yeah,
I love that. That is so true. Let me tell them a little bit about you. Daniel, man, I'm going to get it wrong. I feel how do I say your last name? Man,
the opposite of what you're thinking.
I got it. Man. Jenna is
Jenna.
Here.
You want to say Jenna? It's Mangena.
Jenna. Oh, I knew it.
You doubted yourself, man. See, here's the first lesson. Don't doubt yourself. Oh my
God, you're going to teach me so much today. Okay. Mangena and that's probably what I was going to say, right? Is an international speaker, best-selling author, broadcaster, and coach. He is best known for his highly successful Micro to Millions program, being the author of Stepping Beyond Intention. Wow, that's awesome. And his Do It with Dan and Beyond Success podcast. He is completely self-made and has spent decades perfecting his worldwide coaching methodology. His mission statement: to spearhead an evolutionary uplift in universal consciousness by awakening people to the importance of their unique role and enabling them to manifest their dream life. So doesn't get any better than that. I love the beyond intention thing too. So
yeah.
So let's talk about, things, I do like to usually start with people's stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get to let's go beyond intention. Let's get into the Atlantis stuff. And how did you get there from what I seem to remember in my brain anyway, of like kind of a little bit more of a traditional path of a life, mm-hmm. right? So I know we all have our very unique story, but tell us about that journey.
I think my journey started off traditionally non-traditional, right?
Oh, okay.
Right. So when we look at the diversity of openness to the deeper viewpoints on consciousness and reality, non-traditional now is a lot different to sort of 30 years ago. So, 30 years ago, a kid going off to learn to build computers at 13 and not going to university when you're from a middle-class family, and that was non-traditional, but there was still a level of normalcy to it compared to the wider conversations that we're having now about other lifetimes, about consciousness, about perhaps life outside of our known experience of just the people here on planet Earth, and all these other kinds of discussions. And so, there was a non-traditional. I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich when I was 16 years old. I read Psycho-Cybernetics when I was 18. I was, busy studying tapes from Nightingale Conant in my teens. And when friends might have been looking at, going to get their first girlfriend and going and drinking, I was coming up with how I was going to take over the business world, right? So there was a level of normalcy to it compared to the discussions that I probably find myself having now. but it was still non-traditional. So I went off into the world of business. Unfortunately, having not been tested by life, I had the arrogance of youth. And what the arrogance of youth did meant that I didn't understand the importance of seeking counsel and thought I knew everything, right? So having gone deeper into my journey now and understanding that I'm claircognizant and my ability to really absorb information energetically and then recommunicate it, I will pick up things and just get it and run with it. But I didn't at that time understand the importance of the three-dimensional aspects to that which we pick up energetically. And so although I could pick up the energetics of success and run with it, my mind wasn't trained and my habits weren't aligned to be able to hold it. So the result is I promptly lost it, made some more millions and lost them again. I actually made and lost 2 multi-million-pound fortunes by the age of 23. Fast forward now, what year? 15 years? Yeah, 15 years. Fast forward 15 years. And what I've spent this last decade and a half doing is piling on top of all of that mindset stuff that I had as a teenager, understanding the importance of mentorship, counsel, community, environment, and also understanding energy, frequency, the power of the heart, looking at to source as a directive point of what we manifest rather than just my egoic desires, the importance of communicating with the heart, and desire as an expression of the divine versus a carnal seeking of pleasure. And so that's been the journey that I've been on. And what I get to do every day is share the wisdom that I've gleaned and continue to glean being on that journey, because I don't think it ever ends, and support people in activating abundance in every area of their life.
Wow. Yeah. Now I remember. So I said, it's been years in the making, even more than that. I remember you telling me some stuff and I'm like, yeah, I mean, you accomplished a number of things that to the traditional world be like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? Like that's so huge, doing all those things so young and incredible. So my sense of that is like, you have a really strong curiosity about how things work, right? Like, how does this work, right? Is that right? Like, that's what the
yeah. And what's really fascinating for me is, as a teenager, I was always challenging the status quo of what things were, needing to dive deeper into understanding things. And it was only till I was 27 that I was diagnosed with Asperger's, and then realized it's because that's how my brain works. It functions with the stability that comes from understanding the mechanics and breaking things down, which has been a gift, because when I'm talking about consciousness, or I'm talking about manifestation, I'm talking about how to weave all of these together in a practical way, the way that my brain works gives me the ability to do that in a way that's really communicable, because I break it down to its simplest components.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the way you're able to just how much knowledge you have to share quickly. It's just like boom, boom, boom. One of the things you talk about, like, so there's all the personal growth stuff you did, and who knows, you got into so many different things, I'm sure, but you got Think and Grow Rich and all that stuff. Amazing foundation, right? So but yet there is so much more in a sense, right? So where do you feel like, I don't know if you would agree with this statement, but I feel like Think and Grow Rich is amazing in itself, but I feel like we're at another we have another bandwidth to step into beyond those foundational teachings. Like, people have already, like, I watched The Secret, I'm a teacher, I'm a law of attraction teacher, or got all kinds of different people that do different things, listen to the podcast. But there's another level that we're all being called into and we're stepping into. And what is it that's what I feel like you're here to talk about. So like, what is this next level that we step? So there is all that. That's all important. Well, tell us more about, like, how did you get to where you're like, there's so much more. What you alluded to it, but what brought you to, like, man, there's so much more though than when I realized what you said, like, wow, I realized I need counsel. I don't know everything. I remember feeling that way at times. Like, when I get into metaphysics, I'm like, I get this, you just get clear, and boom, it happens. And, I'm like, that's all it is. It's so simple, and so yeah, what was like maybe there's a pain point or something came up in your life. You said you lost millions while you were making millions, for example. Yeah.
I think it was backtracking and looking at what was missing and what had gone wrong. And that led me to a teaching that I talk about in my book, Stepping Beyond Intention, and also my book, Money Game, which is what I call the flow funnel. And what the flow funnel is it's exploring actually an ancient truth that we've probably heard spoken many times: mind, body, soul, spiritual, mental, physical. This triumvirate that keeps floating around from ancient times into now. And when you actually break that down, then yes, we do have these different aspects of ourselves. And that other level that you're referring to, in my experience, over the last 22 years I've been playing this game, and over the last decade and a half, I've really been going deeper into these different levels, is that we often get stuck on one or two of them, or miss out one or two of them. And so someone like yourself and myself who gets the energy, right? We get it. We see it, we feel it, we experience it. But sometimes we can get so caught up on that. And when we're going to create, it's just about, oh, what's the energetics? Do I feel good about it? You know, have I cleared my karma? Have I taken care of the past life stuff? All of that unseen. And yet we lose sight of the fact that the mind is the gatekeeper to experience. And so it doesn't matter what you're feeling energetically. If your mind holds a contrary belief, with the unconscious mind operating at 10,000 to 10 million times the speed of the conscious mind, it's not going to get through. It doesn't matter how many affirmations you say, especially if it's not your love language, words of affirmations, it's going to get stuck there in the energetic. So you'll feel really good, but your life will still be a piece of crap. Pardon the phrase. And then there are those people who, much to the think and grow rich point. Now, Napoleon does go a little bit into the action, and he does look at the energetics a little bit. He talks about sexual transmutation. He does step into it, but he does really create, he has really created, again, in my experience of being in masterminds and group coaches and programs and people who teach us stuff, in just the thought aspect, and loses sight of the true depth of the energetics and how the energetics actually feed into and actually create the container for any of the thinking. And so you have those people that they'll be reading books all the time. They'll be going to courses. They're always watching stuff on YouTube. They listen to all the podcasts because they can quote and quote and quote, but nothing's changing. Nothing's changing, perhaps because the energetics haven't been addressed and aligned into that thinking. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there are the people that work really hard. They hustle till they drop. You know, they're always taking action. They're investing in themselves. They're going for it. But you haven't addressed the fact that the story that you've been carrying since you were 6 years old is that you're not even worthy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Or that you believe one thing and you're acting in accordance with something else. And so it's truly understanding that everything that we do physically, everything that we're experiencing, as much as 97% of the time, is happening on the back of habits and behaviors feeding from an unconscious program that we had nothing to do with for most of it. And then when we look at our unconscious thoughts, those unconscious thoughts are being guided by our emotional state. And our emotional state is being impacted by the environment that we're in and the programs that we're running on. So a big part of what we do is we come in and say, okay, I can tell you exactly what your programs are because the environment doesn't lie as to what's going on with the program. I can look at where you're at most of the time. So what we're looking is coming in and saying, let's create a disruption in that program. Let's align that disruption with a clear vision of what emotional state supports the thoughts, the habits and behaviors, so we can have the outcome. So it's this beautiful merging of the beauty of spirit and being in the heart and soul and the energetics and all that yumminess, right? The unseen. But then really developing, and we've got some really cool shortcuts on this, a mind that facilitates allowing that vision and energetic imprint to be formed as a part of our world, and then understanding the shifts that we are called to make in our habits and behaviors, so we can unfold it with a lot of yummy flow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is something that, you know, through the years I've begun to more fully appreciate and understand is that there's not, like, I think a lot of times, like, we're always looking for like the one thing that's going to make everything work, right? If we just work on those limiting beliefs, that's going to break it through. We just listen to our intuition. That's like a safety kind of mechanism, right? If we just have the one thing, then we're going to be fine, you know? And what I love you're talking about is, you know, it's all connected, but like there's all these different, you got to address all of it, you know, you got to address all of it, right? I mean, it's not just
all of it is who we are
thing. And that's it. I just follow my intuition. Well, you might follow your intuition into a life that you really say like, hey, I'm not really living the life I want, but I follow my intuition all the time. And it's pretty good, but it's not that great, you know, like that kind of thing. Or I always follow my joy, but I'm broke, you know, or that kind of thing. It's not just one thing. It's like all these different aspects we need to address. Like I remember just recently I was I love listening to interviews with Tim Grover. I don't know if you heard of him before, but he was the trainer for Michael Jordan and all that. So you definitely want to check him out. He's awesome. He talks about winning. He's got the book Relentless and all these.
I have heard of him. Yeah, he's the one. He brought Scottie Pippen in to the Chicago Bulls. Is he the guy that brought Scottie Pippen?
I don't know if that's.
They were back to back. Then they just started. They went on that crazy winning streak when he came into the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I know he was a trainer for Michael Jordan is what he's most known for, and he's trained all these top athletes, and he talks about winning. You know, he has a new book out about winning. I forget the title, but he says winning asks everything of you. It doesn't say just give me your intuition, just give me your joy, just give me your going through your dark night of the soul, or just do this or just do that. It asks for everything. And I thought that was so true. It's so true. And I think it like that's the thing. It's a lot of times they're not willing to embrace all of it. We're only willing to embrace like we'll talk about this in a minute, but like I just want to meditate, or I just want to, and I talk about meditation a lot actually. But whatever it is that we're talking about, like, oh, I just want to focus on these things, but we need to really address the totality of who we are, right?
Because all of you don't want some of you don't, and this is what people experience. Like I see my abundance, I see my love, I see my healthy body in the field, I can feel it now. That's great, but your eyes are open and it's not here anymore. So yes, if you want all of you in the experience, and you need to bring all of you to the journey. Otherwise, if you just bring some of you to the experience, then only some of you is going to be there, right? So
right, that's very common sense, and yet we don't think of it. No, I love that. So yeah, one of the things I did want to talk to you about is in the notes I have here is you do talk about stop meditating. All right.
Yeah.
I can see somebody saying that, for example, stop meditating and get your ass in action and do something,
and that's the way that I mean it. That's the way that I mean it. And it's so funny because a lot of people do think I'm saying.
Let's talk about, because I will talk later in the show about meditate, make money, as far as a gift I give and everything. So tell me more about that. Like stop meditating. You literally mean don't do any meditation?
No.
Or what do you mean by that?
I mean it.
I didn't think so. I thought, hey, look, this might get really juicy. It's like no meditation. Because some people do believe that actually.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean it in the context of how you described it. Like, yeah, okay, you've done your meditation. You good?
You're right.
Energy's good. Ready? Can we go and do the rest of it now, please?
Right. I don't know. Yeah, let me breathe in first, right?
Yeah, but because I mean, so often people they do the meditation and then they stop there.
Yeah.
I meditated. Why isn't it here yet? I did my vision board. Why hasn't it shown up yet? I did my watch my mind movie. I did my sacred ceremony. I just came off the mushroom weekend.
Right. I don't mean to laugh at people, but yeah, I know what you mean. Right. I did all these things. Why is it happening? What are the obvious things you're not doing that
do you believe it's possible? Like, does your belief system even believe it's possible?
Yeah.
Are you able to hold the vision of that experience in your mind's eye? If not, it's not coming. Are you even ready in your environment to receive it? Someone says that they want to have a new job. Let's use the relationship. Someone says that they want to have a new relationship. Their life hasn't got space for someone to come into it. They haven't dealt with their own crap. They haven't addressed the pain and the trauma that they were carrying into their past relationships, which stopped them being able to have a healthy relationship either, right? So have we addressed the habits and behaviors? Have we addressed the thoughts, the beliefs, and the narratives in our mind so that they support what we've done, the meditation, the yoga, the chanting, and all the things for? Because if not, you wasted your time, in my opinion. I know that's a bit drastic, but I'm a bit of an extreme guy.
Yeah, well, because you're all about like the fullness of the whole thing, not just like I did all the, I mean, some people categorize it just as like inner work, outer stuff or whatever, but the inner work versus the action or what have you. But yeah, you're about like all of it. You're not going to be fulfilled until you're with all of it, right? I mean, it just makes sense. So great. Well, I'm glad that we talked about that. What might have been more interesting if you said no meditation. Anyway, so I was just curious about that. Now you talk about alignment too, right? We need to be able, everybody talks about this. It feels like these days, a lot of people do. What is that really all about? Do you have a unique kind of a thought about that? Like, is it any different than what most people would say what alignment is? Or
I mean, I don't think there's anything unique under the sun, but we do follow the flow funnel principle of alignment of all of who we are, with the vision that we have. So that's having our frequency, our energy, our vibration, our spirit, our soul, having our mind, our beliefs, our stories, our narratives, having our environment, our actions, our habits and behaviors. That's what alignment is to me. Having all of that lined up and working in concert to allow the unfolding of the manifestation, because we don't make anything happen. Everything already exists. We're just lining up to it, or we're not. Right.
So that's very well said. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Now you talk about going beyond intentions. So what do you mean by that? How can we become successful by going beyond intentions? Because that sounds like fun.
Awesome. So for me, an intention, as I define and share it with people, is a disruption of whatever program we're on right now. Okay. Like I said, someone comes to me and says, I don't know what my limiting beliefs are. I don't know what my narratives or my stories are. I can just look at your life, because the environment doesn't lie as to what's going on with your beliefs, your narratives, your stories, because it's all unfolding. Right. So if you want to create something different, we need to disrupt the thing that's not leading to what we want, disrupt that pattern, disrupt that program. So when we're talking about being beyond intention, what we're talking about is being in the space whereby our unconscious mind, our natural default emotions, and our program are giving us what we want. So we don't need to keep disrupting it with an intention. So we've moved beyond the need to keep setting intentions, because what we desire to experience, what's in our heart, what's in our soul, is unfolding and is aligned in that unfolding.
So could you give me an example of that? Like where you help somebody to disrupt, a pattern, and like they don't really need to set just this intention, but you disrupt the pattern, and that like unleashes them to another level or something like that. So can you tell us?
So I use the story of Alan, because Alan came into my program very early on in its inception. We're about 4 years into Micro to Millions now. And he didn't really do much at first. Then he had a heart attack. And so he kind of caught up with the game late. And when we started, when we opened up our mastermind, our accelerator mastermind, he's like, hey, I feel really behind. I told him, you're not behind. Everyone is where they are. Don't call it behind. But if this feels aligned to you, then come on board. So he came on, and he went from making $30,000 a year to, in just a few short months, making a couple $100,000. Okay.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing was that all of a sudden that stopped. No reason and rhyme. Things just conspired for it not to happen anymore. The guys that do the mastermind, they get to come and do an in-person event with us. So he came to an in-person event down here in Cabo, Mexico. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. Something's wrong with me. I said, no, something's probably not wrong with you. Let's just walk through it. And I just asked him a few things about his daily routine and habits and behaviors. And it turned out that he'd changed something critical that led to him being in flow. He clicked that back in. The next week made $20,000.
Wow.
Right? When you understand that what you want wants you to, you get to see the fact that we're not trying to force anything to happen. We're not making anything happen. So the intentionality, that disruption that we're invoking, isn't about making it happen. It's about breaking us out of the pattern of being that doesn't allow us to be in the flow of what's already there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Absolutely.
When he just realized, oh, there's just one thing that I'd stop doing. He didn't need to go and reset his intention and recreate the vision for his life. And, I need to go and wash in the great Ganges. He just needed to realign himself with one change.
Right.
And since then, his bank told him about 6 months ago now, they're giving him $20 million to go and build out his real estate portfolio. $20 million. Right?
Wow.
So when you understand that nature always grows, nature wants to flow, that when there's something in your heart, something in your body that's trying to come forth, that means you're already pregnant with it. You don't need to go and get knocked up again. It's just a matter of allowing it to be birthed into your life.
Yeah, it's like the idea, you couldn't possibly, this tree can't possibly produce seeds for new trees. We're going to have to manufacture seeds for new trees. Like when the seeds are already there. I mean, it's an imperfect analogy maybe, but it's like this idea is not there. It's like the idea, and we got to make it happen. And yet it is there, right?
It's really there.
Yeah. So I like that. That's so true. That is so true. But yeah, we get tight in the butt about those things. And I love, though, that the change was a simple thing. Again, I just love this guy. So I just mentioned him again here. Tim Grover, he talked about a player in the playoffs and how all of a sudden he went from at one level play and all of a sudden his performance went down in the playoffs, even though he was starting to like sharpen his routines up, supposedly, right? Like, I'm doing more good stuff for myself. Okay, what did you stop doing? Well, I stopped smoking weed or whatever it was, something like that. It's like something that wasn't considered well or right or whatever. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. You stopped smoking weed? All right, that's the problem. Smoke that weed. Go back up, because I mean, maybe long term it's not his highest, right? But he wasn't ready for that disruption at that time. It's go off, right? So all these little things you're right. I know that. Like I've seen that for myself too. Like the little things, like all of a sudden we start neglecting. You're like, why are things not working the way you used to? And like sometimes it's the smallest things. It's not, our mind always thinks it's some big dramatic thing all the time. It's not always that way, right?
No, often it's not.
Yeah, that's great. So I think one of the big things that we run into that you talk about is that money is out there, that we need to, go get it. And the idea with the intentions is that that'll be what makes it happen and all that. And yet I find a lot of times once I let go of the intention is when it manifests. Right now, finally, you're just letting it happen. So
yeah, but there's a logic to that as well. Not to cut you, Dan, but there's a logic.
Yeah.
So there's an analogy I use about gardening. All right. You spoke about seeds a few moments ago. If I go and plant seeds for an apple tree in my garden, but then every day I dig up that seed and see if it's growing.
Yep.
Is it going to be able to take root and grow and become the apple tree?
Right.
What I am called to do is, first and foremost, make sure that soil is good soil for the tree. Make sure that it's going to have enough sunlight. Make sure that if I'm in a climate that requires it, that I water it at the regularity that's conducive to that seed, and support it in its journey to do what it wants to do, which is to grow. All too often, we dig up the seeds and we keep going back to something. And the reason why is because we don't believe it. Again, it goes back to the beliefs. Did anybody here wake up in a panic to see if the sun rose this morning in the east? No, you didn't. Another analogy I always use is Amazon, right? When you order something from Amazon, you don't place the order and immediately call customer service and say, hey, I just placed an order. I just want to make sure you got it. Right. And then contact them again and say, hey, what's the name of the driver? What's the VIN number on their vehicle? What route are they taking? By the way, did they smoke any weed last? We don't do that. We order the thing.
Yeah. Sometimes,
if anyone's like me, sometimes you get a notification you've got a delivery and you forget what you even ordered in the first place because you just know that it's coming. My question that I always invite people to ask themselves is this: when are you going to start giving Source the same respect that you give to Amazon?
Interesting. Very good. Yeah. What I find like manifests so easy are the things I'm not resisting, right? Like,
because that's what allows them.
Like I'm not even trying to manifest something, but I just have a thought to have something, and it just happens. I like, okay, in the most peculiar ways sometimes. Okay, I put in the order. I always talk about restaurants. I put in the order for a lobster, but I was thinking all along I wanted the steak. They bring me out a steak, right? right. And they're like, okay, let me get you a lobster too, because that's what you order. Oh, great, I get both of them now, right? I mean, the areas where we're not all tightened up around is where it's a sense of not, you're not doing anything. It's just like, it's an experience I've had so many times, and it's easier at restaurants for me because I'm not as attached, right? So, but in areas where it get tight, maybe in business and those types of places, that's where if we think it's going to be a struggle, then it is, right? So rate it. And it's unfortunate that is what it's like. So I guess it's like that belief work. Like, do you have a process of helping people to release these beliefs?
I've got a simple hack, and I'll give it to the listeners now.
Awesome.
Stop trying to fight it and just ask it a question that disrupts it. Because remember, it's all about disrupting the energy so that the thought can be allowed to have space to do something different. Your unconscious isn't your enemy, it's your friend. When it throws out these things, it's just going on the pattern that it's been given, that this is how you want to be kept safe. The second that you challenge it with a question, it opens it up to see something different.
Yeah.
And because you've got the conscious desire to experience something different, they can dance together and give you something different. So anytime you have a limiting belief now, just ask yourself this question. Take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, can I be certain that this is true? That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to fight it. You don't need to go into which past life it came from. Just need to ask yourself, can I be certain that it's true?
Yeah.
Really ask. And you'll realize that the emotional response that you're going to get to it is that you can't be certain, because we can't be certain of anything.
Right, exactly.
The second that you challenge it, it loses its power. And when it loses its energetic resonance, its power, then there's space for you to say, okay, it may or may not be true. And of these things that may or may not be true, where do I want to place my focus and attention? And then dive into that. I think it's Wayne Dyer that said, when there are different options that may or may not be true, why focus your attention on the one that you don't want?
Right. It's so funny. There's always a synchronicity to my guests. Like, you're literally talking about the things that I'm practicing. Like number of them, not everything, but like,
it's the energy, bro. It's the energy, bro. It's the energy.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fun, right? I mean, it's so cool. Like, I was just the other night, I was like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was doing journaling. I was like, oh, I don't know, like this thought stream, I don't know if I'll fall back asleep. I don't know this, I don't know that. I'm like, I know, because of Byron Katie, maybe you know about her, right? Because you absolutely know that's true, right? That questions and questions. And so I just said, can I absolutely know any of these any of these thoughts are true that I'm having right now? Nope. Okay. And I went right to sleep.
Because
I go to sleep.
You broke the program. You smashed the program just by asking a question.
The moment before, I thought maybe I'm not going to get back to sleep the whole night. Like, but that fast, like, boom, you're asleep very quickly afterwards, like almost right away, and probably almost like instantly, like it was like right after that. So it's like, once we can, that is so awesome that you anchored that for me today, because I just did that the other day. I was just like, poof. So just that is an invaluable tool. I just saw the power of it, folks. It works. But that's something I've used for years. It's at a different, whatever levels, like practices we take on, and then we, am I doing it lately, kind of thing. But yeah, that's definitely, she's always, with that, it's absolutely true. Like, that annihilates everything. We don't know anything. Absolutely. I talk about that all the time. I love that. I love that. It's so true. So it's such a powerful tool. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that definitely helps us to, get out of like trying to control everything, right? Like you talk about that, right? We can't control things. And why is it that we want, I have my own answer, but it's pretty clear to me, but like, why do we try to control everything and we just can't? I would say it's about trust, right? We need to let go, just trust it, right? Trust life. But why is it we're so addicted to controlling things from your viewpoint?
Fear.
Yeah.
Because we think if we can control it, then it's going to be safe.
Yeah.
And that's not the conscious thing. That's the unconscious, that for some of us who have been in situations during the time when that pattern was being built, where maybe some modicum of control gave us that sense of safety, we then go on with that program. Oh, if I can control it, it's going to be safe. But whatever that inciting incident was, it was a lie. Safety didn't come from control.
Right. Yeah. We feel like maybe it won't be predictable, right? If I'm not controlling it, then who's in charge here, right?
Exactly.
I've got to control. I got to make it happen. Exactly. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. It really isn't. It can't be farther from the truth. The less you feel you're controlling it, the more is available, the more possible it is. You're able to let it happen. at least in a less stressful way. The illusion is control, right? I mean, when you say, I mean, the idea, like there are people that talk about, like there's people say, oh, you create your reality. There's people that, but I've heard people say you control your reality through your belief system and all that. Why is that not true? Why, in your perspective, is that not true?
Because everything already exists. And this is something that the ancients spoke of, that, ancient wisdom speaks of, but quantum physics has shown us every potential that you can think of already exists. You're not controlling anything. Right. You are in something based on what you are right now.
Right.
And so we can consciously create the outcome that we're moving towards by being aligned with an outcome, but we're not controlling the pieces on the board. They're unfolding because every single conceivable and even inconceivable configuration of those pieces on the board already exists. And we're bouncing through them in a quantum physics perspective, quanta to quanta, snapshot to snapshot, based on who and what we are. That's what's pulling us to these different steps that we move through that become our life.
Right. Well, I mean, and that one basic thing, I don't know a lot about quantum physics, but I know when we're, how we observe things in the quantum field instantly creates it, right? Like at that level, like it instantly creates it.
It's responding to observation. It's responding to observation, and observation comes from, remember, most of the time it's going to be an unconscious response. So that comes from our program. Our program makes the observation, creates that collapsing of the waveform into physical reality. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. Right. Always happens to me.
Right.
All right. Be better if you looked at things a different way, but if that's where you're at, that's what you've got. Right. And that's what we experience.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of one of the things that I love talking about too is the idea that life itself is a game, right? And you've got this book you've written called The Money Game. So can you tell us more about that? That's fun. So what is it? And tell us about playing the money game.
Well, the money game is basically taking everything that we've been speaking about today and puts it into an easy to follow set of steps to witness the unfolding of this in action. So it's a game that you can play to actually create the evidence of this, and to make it fun, it's unfolding money. So we set you off and give you the step-by-step process to actually just manifest $10. That's it. From somewhere you didn't know was to expect it from, and you can witness that, hang on, I spoke into form something that now is a part of my reality. Our current record is 75 grand in 2 days. But we have a lot of fun seeing the results of people who just going for $10 get these awesome results.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and realizing, well, is it really that much difference? 10 versus 10,000? Okay, how about 10,000 versus 100,000 or whatever, right? Like, is it really that much difference?
It's just a matter of belief. And the process of the money game, what I'll do is, like I said, we've created a resource page for the guys. I'll put a free copy of the book there for them as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So where can people I have the URL here, but tell them about what you've put together for our listeners today, the free resources.
Yeah, so as we've been talking, everyone see me looking down, I've just been making notes about resources from our ecosystem that I think would be supportive for the listeners to actually integrate and apply what we're speaking about today. It's all very well and good hearing a cool conversation, he says, but it's all about what do you do with it. And so we want to support them in doing something different. So we've got a free resource page. They go to dreamwithdan.com/rockstar. And when they get there, they'll find a diagram of the flow funnel. So you can see what I've been talking about with that. I've got a free video called How to Be a Harmonious Money Magnet. It's about 45 minutes and breaks down this whole concept of the flow funnel in action around abundance. Some details on the books that we've spoken about today. And also a link to my podcast in case they're interested in coming along and listening to that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's we'll put the link in the show notes, and it's dreamwithdan.com/rockstar. And so I'm looking forward to checking that out myself. And maybe I saw it on your site or something or whatever, but I just love it that the word Flojo or whatever came out of my mouth at the beginning of the broadcast. And then you're like, yeah, we got this flow funnel and everything. It's so fun that happened. But anyway, so I'm so grateful for everything you're sharing. And you're doing obviously very incredible, powerful work with people and having them experience like results like that are huge, really, really like beyond what they would have ever believed possible for them. And really look forward to, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, right? It's working. So I look forward to checking it out. So yeah, at this point of the program, what I'd like to do is to ask if you're ready to receive a little tuning in by myself. And
oh boy, I've been waiting for this.
Right, okay, all right. Let's see. It might be, it might be interesting. It might be ordinary. It might be extraordinary. Let's see. We'll see what comes through. All right. So let me tune in to whatever wants to come through. All right. Here we go. Well, it's just an observation of you. So the observation is just that you're like this wonderful like composer, conductor energy. Like it's just like the symphony of life coming through, and you're just like moving with it. You're like boom, 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 boom. So it's just like you're in sync with the harmony of life at a deep level. Okay, so that's the first thing they're showing me. Now, the second thing that's showing me, hold on. So there is some kind of like, again, of course, you've done so many things, you've moved through certain things, but there's still this level in the lower power center, so solar plexus, a vibe, like, I'm not making it negative, but it just shows up as like, like the idea is like, hey, maybe stay a little small, like maybe don't be too threatening and that sort of thing. And then, part of your energy is like, no, like the upper chakra says, like upper part of that chakra is like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to go, we're going to expand, grow, put the seed in the ground. But there is that part that is kind of questions like, really like that big, this big, or whatever, like it's a questioning or something like that in there. So I just noticed that. Let me just see what else comes through. See how like they're showing me energy and like on your back. So it's kind of like you do a pretty decent job of it, but like I just get like sometimes things get heaped on your back, like, hey, what about this responsibility, about that like people are keeping you accountable or something, like our responsibilities and stuff. You're just like, oh god, you guys should leave me alone. So I gotta get some of that vibe, and you try to brush it off and open up. I'm sure you want to do good things and follow through on things that you want to be responsible to, but it's like it gets too heavy sometimes, and so you're kind of like, just let me get away from everybody for a while. I guess that's a vibe I get out of it. So some pretty interesting things coming through. I just share a few things. So what kind of resonates for you, or what came up for you?
All of it resonated. And it's so funny because I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that everybody gets imposter syndrome. Everybody has that let's play small. I think sometimes we put people on a pedestal, and people see me on TV or they see me doing this and think, oh, he's got it dialed in, he doesn't have any problems. I've still got my stuff. I still work with people. I've got a session tomorrow with my somatic body worker, right? Getting crap out of my system. I'm constantly investing in myself, constantly making sure that I'm working with healers and working with people who support me, because there's never a point in your life that you don't need that.
Right. That's right. We're not going evolution or whatever, something like that, right? So
exactly.
We're not some static like thing. You're perfect now. You don't need anything. Like that's not like that. That's not the point, right? So yeah, awesome. So I just want to share with everybody, if you want to check me out too, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. There's an opportunity to apply to get a Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan assessment. So I'll tune into your energy and see what's going on for you, and we'll start working out the kinks, or looking at how we can work through the kinks and give you a lot of downloads and information that can be helpful for you right away. So you can check that out at yoursacredpurpose.com. And then also there's a free Meditate and Make Money activator there that people really gain from, that when they get in there, like people even say there's secret activations there. I know it, like it's not just money you're opening me up to. People do manifest money through it. and allow themselves to relax into more abundance just simply by taking advantage of that Meditate, Make Money meditation. So check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right. So Dan, as we're, wrapping up today, do you have any last words for everybody?
Don't take any of this too seriously. None of us are getting out of it alive.
Right. Exactly. I mean, cancel this thought, but yet you could, it could be run over by a bus kind of thing.
Yeah, like,
hey, who knows, right?
You never know. And
Right.
the more that we remember our humanity, and the more that we remember the fleetingness of it, the more we can actually step into the fullness of experience of that which is around us right now.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. That is such a good point. Yeah, that we get so bottled up by everything. What about my bills? What about my relationship? What about my health? What about all this stuff happening in the world? Okay, yeah, all that's gonna keep happening at some level, no matter what. And your life could be over today. So what's your choice right now, right?
Exactly.
So, all right. Thank you for sharing so much. I really, really been super appreciative and honored to have you on the show today. You're really amazing. I really love everything that you've got to share. You've got so much extensive knowledge and awesomeness to share with us. So I'm just so deeply grateful, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now. Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.